A Kasugai crow calls out the aftermath of the battle. Tanjiro and Giyu have managed to defeat the upper three, but are now unconscious. Kokushibo no longer feels Akaza's presence and realizes he has been defeated. He recalls Akaza's promise to defeat him. As he voices that Akaza had opened the path to reach further heights and abandoned it, he grabs his sword and furiously slashes the pillars of his room, cursing him as exceedingly weak. Douma senses Akaza's demise and comments that Akaza had felt like a different creature for a while. As he brushes aside his comment, he asks for Kanao's name. She introduces herself as Kanao Tsuyuri, adding that she is the little sister of Kanai and Shinobu Kocho. Douma is confused, judging that she doesn't appear blood related to the two, but nonetheless comments that young girls are delicious anyway. While on the subject of eating women, Douma mentions Akaza's conscious decision to not eat them, owing that fact to his demise. Despite mentioning that women have more nutritional content to demons than men, Akaza refused and was even given special permission by Muzan to do so, since Akaza was only deployed by Muzan on special missions. As he mourns for the death of his best friend, Kanao tells him to stop the lies. She figures out Douma does not feel the least bit saddened as the color on his face stayed the same. When Douma responds back, it is due to him being a demon. Kanao retorts by mentioning that demons and humans both circulate blood, and the color of their faces can change. She mentions that Kanai had felt sorry for him as he feels nothing. She talks about how all people are born with the ability to feel happiness, as well as sadness and anger. Douma cannot understand these feelings, but knowing he was intelligent, Kanao instead tears into how he covers up his lack of feelings with a facade of lies, pretending to experience emotion to hide the fact his heart feels nothing. He feels no happiness, no bitterness, no pain, calling him an empty shell and saying his facade is so comical. It's stupid. Finally, she mockingly asks, "Why were you even born?" Douma comments that throughout his life, he has talked with numerous young women, but never someone who has said such spiteful things like Kanao, and asks how could she say something so cruel. Kanao retaliates by saying her outright hatred of him, her desire to cut off his head. She changes her opinion of him. "You're not very smart, are you?" calling him a disgrace, and smiling as she mentions it was better to kill him as his life is utterly pointless and meaningless. Douma appears behind her, trying to slice her neck. Kanao reacts in time, however, and crouches down, avoiding his attack and slashes through his abdomen. When he tries to send out his ice lotuses to hit her, she dodges the incoming attack to safety. As Douma heals, he notices that her reaction speed has accelerated and is adjusting to his own movement. She has not inhaled any of his ice, even though it is extremely difficult to attack in her manner without a breathing technique, all thanks to Shinobu's hand sign warning her to not breathe in the ice. Douma suddenly realizes that Kanao might actually be more powerful than Shinobu. Kanao feels the goosebumps throughout her body aren't stopping. She knows if she doesn't put strength into her fingers, they will start shaking uncontrollably. She mentions the demons she had faced in the past, pale in comparison to Douma, but she is able to face him due to the immense anger she feels. Anger so powerful it feels like her body is burning. The back of her throat boils and feels so uncomfortable that she wants to scream. She feels she must rampage at him or her body would rip itself apart. The dizziness in her head and her anger turning into hatred. She says that she hates Douma and is disgusted at how he could kill her family. Kanao vanishes and instantly appears before him, using the flower-breathing fifth form, Peonies of Futility, to rapidly slash him. Douma comments the consecutive attacks are pretty and retaliates with his blood demon art, Barren Hanging Garden. Kanao attacks back with the flower-breathing second form, Honorable Shadow Plum, to destroy the created ice. Douma notices the key to withstanding his attacks are her eyes. She notices his movements and predicts his next actions in anticipation. Complimenting her as smart and the above-average swordsman, the demon decides the best course of action is to gouge them out. Douma slashes at her face, but Kanao bends back, sustaining a small cut on the side of her temple. Using the flower-breathing sixth form, Whirling Peach, she attacks back at the upper rank, who compliments her body and flexibility as well-trained and akin to a spring. Douma deploys his fearsome freezing clouds, forcing Kanao to close her eyes or risk freezing them. While on the defensive, she is attacked again by Douma using blood demon art, Lotus Vines, the ice vines converging on her and forcing Kanao to slice the incoming attack to defend against them. When she has finished cutting them apart, Douma quickly attacks again with his blood demon art, cold white princesses, two ice figures of women that spray the icy fog in her direction. Kanao again backs away to avoid the fog, but must dodge again when Douma unleashes his blood demon art. Wintry icicles form from above and nearly impale her. Douma taunts her for getting away from him, mentioning that in order to kill him, she needs to slice his head off. He disappears for a moment and reappears, clutching her Nichiren sword, despite Kanao aware and anticipating his next moves. Douma mocks her for not holding onto the sword and sticks it near him. He tells her to come and get it and deploys his blood demon art, scattering lotuses in her direction. Kanao forces herself to look through the incoming hail of ice to find the area of minimum damage, but sustains multiple cuts to her face. Suddenly, the roof starts cracking as Inosuke smashes through the roof, announcing, "Out of the sky, Lord Inosuke's coming in." Swing and using beast breathing, fifth fang, crazy cutting. He destroys the incoming wave of ice shards, saving Kanao. He thanks the Kasugai crow for leading him to the right room. Inosuke focuses on Douma's eyes. Upon realizing that he is the upper rank 2 demon, Inosuke is ecstatic. He declares he will defeat him and finally become a Hashira. A confused Douma mentions he isn't hiding his identity as upper rank 2 and is intrigued about Inosuke. Inosuke, wondering what Hashira title would suit him better, sees the injured Kanao and warns her that Shinobu will get angry at seeing her condition. But when Kanao doesn't respond, Inosuke is stunned into silence on seeing her eyes filled with tears. Insokwe asks if Shinobu is dead, while Douma overhears him and mentions that Shinobu will live forever inside him, as that's how everyone I eat gets saved. Inosuke is shocked, remembering a memory he had where Shinobu Pinky promised him to not remove the bandage of his injured hand. Inosuke angrily declares, "I'll gnaw you to shreds, trash," and charges towards Douma, despite Kanao warning him not to inhale the cold air he creates. Using his beast breathing, fourth fang, slice and dice, Inosuke slashes at Douma, the demon commenting on his messed up technique as well as noticing his chipped blades and unorthodox fighting style. When Douma attempts to slash at Inosuke's neck, he flips back and deflects the fan with his feet, earning a compliment from the upper rank for his flexibility and intrigued by his mask. Inosuke lands next to Kanao and presents her with her blade, telling her to not let him take it again, stolen from an unaware Douma, to her shock. Douma comments that the Demon Slayer is fast and grows more ice to attack, only for Inosuke to deflect them back and kick him in the stomach, knocking him away. As he compliments him again, Inosuke charges forward and prepares a slash. Douma comments that the attack is far from the sword's range, so when the boar-headed fighter swings, he is shocked that the attack had reached him and slashes across his eyes. Inosuke had used beast breathing, ninth fang, extending bendy slash, dislocating the joints of his arm to extend his range. He relocates the bones of his arm, but is angered that the new attack's inaccuracy made him miss Douma's head. To Kanao's shock, Douma is amused at his unusual opponent and comments that throughout his own long life, he had never met a fighter like him. Inosuke takes the compliment and says it's because the other riffraff losers are nothing compared to me. But while Inosuke is talking, his mask instantly disappears from his face, surprising him and shocking Kanao. Douma had stolen it without either Demon Slayer noticing and comments the boar skin is quite old. As Inosuke angrily demands his mask back, Douma suddenly responds that he knows and has seen Inosuke's face before. Douma asks if he and Inosuke had met in the past, causing Inosuke angrily retorts his statement and demands Douma to take his hands off his mask. However, Douma is sure they have and that he knows him from somewhere. Inosuke responds again that he has not met Douma before. Inosuke thinks the one he encountered before was Shinobu, leading Inosuke to comment that he felt as if he had met her before, hoping to ask her the next time they met. When Kanao attempts to lead Inosuke away, saying Douma is spouting random nonsense, Douma becomes surprised and offended, stating his only saving grace is his seriousness and long and clear memory, even during his human years. With that, Douma pierces his own skull with his finger, shocking Inosuke and Douma. He fiddles with his brain until he reaches a particular memory and retells it to the two. 15 years ago, there was a young woman with a baby, roughly 17 to 18 years of age. She was abused by her husband and mother-in-law daily and encountered Douma's Eternal Paradise cult. She had no siblings or parents and had no place else to go to. When Douma first met her, her face was severely swollen from the beatings, commenting it was pretty rough even to him, and that the woman was even partially blinded. But when he touched the woman's face, her face went went back to normal. She was so beautiful. It left a lasting impression on even the apathetic Douma. He mentions she had the same face as Inosuke and concludes she must be his mother. Inosuke says that he has no mother and was raised by boars. Douma tells Inosuke that he is a human and of course hasn't taken birth from a boar. Inosuke charges forward and readies his beast-breathing sixth fang to Kanao's concern, only for Douma to state this encounter is a miracle and simultaneously slash at Inosuke's chest twice, creating an X-like mark. He quickly summons more ice and knocks both demon slayers into the cult room's pond. As Kanao urges Inosuke to calm down, Douma continues his story. Douma had no intention of eating the woman, as having someone beautiful next to you feels pretty good. Though he considered her unintelligent, she was talented at singing. The woman continually sang a Pinky Promise lullaby to her baby, Douma, mentioning that she sang with different lyrics each time. He recalls a suppressed memory of his mom comforting him as a baby, telling him that she will be there to protect him. Douma adding the song soon became a village song. Inosuke realizes that the Pinky Promise memory was not because of Shinobu. Douma purely planned on letting her live her life. He recalls her name, Kotoha, was very sharp despite being so stupid. She soon learned Douma devoured the followers of the cult. Confronting him for his lies and fleeing the temple, Kotoha apologized to Inosuke, cursing herself for continually making mistakes, going the wrong way, and repeatedly saying she was sorry. She became lost in the forest and unable to find the human village. Cornered at a cliff's edge, she apologizes once more to Inosuke before dropping him off the cliff into the water. Douma kills her shortly after. He believed the baby would die when dropped from the cliff and cried at how sad the situation had become. Inosuke suddenly figures out she was killed. His mother was killed. Douma tells how he ate her to the very bone and noted if she went to her husband, he would continue beating her. And if she was alone by herself on the road, she would end up dead as well. Douma mocks Kotoha's life for being so unfortunate. Was there ever a happy moment in her life? And calls her existence pointless, causing Kanao to furiously tell him to silence himself. As Inosuke grabs his fallen sword from the water, he remembers his mother's love for him. Inosuke ragefully tells that it is truly a miracle meeting Douma here, the demon who killed his mother and his friends right before my eyes. He stands up and thanks Douma for letting him remember everything, but voices he won't cut off his head now. He takes a stance and prepares to fight upper rank 2, declaring that I'll show you what true hell is like. このままじゃ今までの俺と同じだ。人生変えに来てんだよ。